Am I supposed to be hearing something or seeing something? Because I don't.
Okay, we are live, but we're not. Actually, he's gonna go. I'm gonna give him. It's not being broadcast yet. You know what I mean? Kind of complicated, but I had to do that so that they could see our stream and make sure that was going on to the site that we're using to present this information. Because basically, the site where they saw the movie, we're going to come right into that in at 8:30. So let me start off with Kevin. Say a few words just to make sure your audio is fine.
It's Kevin Shaw, everybody. It's almost 8:30. We out here ready to do this. How's everybody doing?
That's
Okay.
wonderful. Tanika,
Hi, this is Tanika Brooks. Can you hear me?
sound great. Elizabeth,
I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Ready to go.
excellent. And Audrey,
I'm here, ready to go.
all right.
Can you
Everybody
hear?
sounds pretty good to me. Yep. Does anybody have any questions before we get started?
Are we? Are we? Am I supposed to be seeing you all? Because I don't see nothing but
Yeah, no, no.
the little.
We're
Oh,
actually
oh,
behind this screen. See, I'm just going to turn it off
oh,
for a second.
okay,
See, we're all there, but I got us covered up.
okay,
And this is so when people come in, they'll see this and know they're in the right place. Actually, this is the one I'm gonna put up. Yeah.
okay.
Daryl, do you are you seeing Isaac? Because he says that he is in. I don't know
Oh,
exactly
Isaac
if
is
he's
here.
okay.
I'm sorry, Isaac. You know I only had I only showed 5 people across the top, and you were on that second row that wasn't showing on my screen. So yes, Isaac is here. How are you? Talk to us so we can make sure you sound okay.
I'm good. I'm here. It's good to be with everybody.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so just so we can see, everybody's here except somebody dropped off.
Like I
All
guess.
right,
Maybe
there's
I should
Audrey.
see
There
Audrey.
she is.
There you go. Hey, Mr. C.
Hey, Audrey.
Hey,
What's up,
Mr.
Brooks?
C.
Okay, we need everybody to stop talking. We're about to go live.
Okay.
So if you could
Hey,
just mute
Daryl, if I can
yourself.
say just one thing in the conversation, I'm really hoping that you funnel a lot of questions here to Tanika and Audrey and Isaac and Elizabeth.
Yeah,
This is about them. All right, my man.
absolutely. That's it.
Great,
That's my thoughts too.
great. Thank you.
Okay, mute everybody.
Hello.
Ice, 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 ice.
Hello?
Ice, ice, right, Audrey? Shit. Your mother put ice.
Good evening, everybody. This is my name is Daryle Brown. I am the Director for Social Justice for Trinity United Church of Christ, and I welcome you to this conversation that we're going to be having, basically uh, giving you some additional insights into not just the film, but the people that were involved in that real life crisis. I am formerly the festival director for the Injustice for All Film Festival for the first 7 seasons, actually. I've spent over 20 years in prison ministry and other advocacy around mass incarceration. And one of my platform beliefs is that by educating our children to their full potential, we can solve so many of society's problems. Economic equity, prison abolition, community violence, for me, are all outgrowths of a failing education system. So I love this story. I love this school. I went to Cass Technical High School in Detroit. It was a school of excellence, like NTA, but more of a magnet school. One of the things that makes NTA even more impressive is that they accept all comers. Certainly, a more challenging environment from which to achieve excellence. With me today is Kevin Shaw, who is the director and producer of This Little Light of Mine. We also have Elizabeth Greer, who, if you just finished seeing the film, you know what kind of powerhouse she is. And she's got a passion for public education. She was the chair of the LSC, the local school council at National Teachers Academy, where her daughter and son thrived. I'm not going to read everybody's complete resume. You're going to get to know them in person. So they'll all get a chance to introduce themselves. Tanika Brooks is a current NTA principal. She was a former assistant principal under Isaac Katalis. And fix my pronunciation, Isaac, as we go along. Audrey Johnson, she's a community organizer, featured a lot in that film. What a love for the kids this sister has. She's a former NTA president and currently works at the school. And then last but not least is the former principal, Isaac. How do I pronounce your name? Castellaz?
Castellez.
Castellaz. Okay. So Isaac, he's a career educator. He's been educating our children for 23 years, including 21 in CPS as a teacher, administrator, and the principal of NTA. Currently, he's working as an independent consultant and leadership coach, and he certainly displayed plenty of those skills in the film. So, well, except for the pizza. Okay, I'm sorry.
Daryl, you got jokes. You got jokes, Daryl. It's all good. You're right. You're right. You're right.
I'm sorry. Well, you know, Kevin put it in the picture for a reason, right? So I'm going to start off with Audrey. Audrey, where did the confidence come from that you could fight and win for the children at NTA?
just growing up in the projects and just learning how to um, love each other in those projects. Those projects made uh, a real big difference in my life on how to survive in life. Because people had a different perspective of the projects, but it wasn't what it was. But it taught me how to. He taught me how to know how to struggle, how to be family, how to love, how to be a community, how to stick together, how to be as one. And when that school came up, our it just made our project family even bigger. Uh, our kids got a chance to go to it, and once those doors opened up, and NTA was something that, and those kids, I always loved them because most of them came from where I come from. Um, a lot of them was my friends' children, and even in there now, all the generations I done seen, they all was mostly from where I come from. And that just still brought so much love to the school. We had to make it our building, which is set on. So it's still 55 West Cermak, but it's 2233 South Federal as well. So that's what made me to continue to just love on these children.
That's beautiful. Um, Elizabeth, what a great example of self-empowerment and but also strategy development, right? Where did that come from? Oh, you muted. Elizabeth, you're muted.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it
Um,
happens, right?
yeah, right. You think I'd learn by now, right? I would say that, it was a joke between my friend Nikita and I, Nikita's also featured in the movie, that we were trying to build the plane while we were flying it because we just had no idea of what we were doing. And so after things got to be a certain point where it felt like that the struggle needed to really have a strategy involved, we decided to reach out to those who have done this before and who have been social justice warriors and fighters in the community for decades. And so we reached out to organizations like Hope Center and COCO and talked to G2 Brown and the Diet Hunger Strikers and those folks, and basically said, we need help. This is our situation. We don't really know how to do an effective strategy for community organizing, and could you please help us? And I am forever grateful to all of them for letting us into their secrets and their secret meetings. I felt like we had really arrived the moment I got invited to a meeting in the basement of a church, where I felt like I needed to know the secret knock in order to get in there. And I got down there, and all of the people who have become my friends now, the people who have led all kinds of protests across the city, were there. And they let me sit and be a fly on the wall and listen to their strategies. And they talk to me about how to escalate a strategy, how to stage a protest, and all of these things. And I'm forever grateful to them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, my good friend Kathy Dale was involved in the diet school uproar at the time, and she's a fighter just like you. Yes, wonderful. Kevin, I got one question for you. So I'm gonna give you just this one opportunity, and it has to do with how did you discover NTA and decide to make a documentary about this struggle? Because you were up there, you were in front of it, right? We didn't know how it was going to end when you got started. So how just give us a little bit of how you found them and then decided I'm going to invest my time and energy in this.
Well, Elizabeth and I are old elementary school classmates, and we had lost touch with one another, regained touch on social media. And on social media, she was posting stories about the fight to save NTA. And so I learned about the story from those postings. And to me, it just seemed like a total injustice. Was really confused as to why the city and the neighborhood would want to shut down a high performing elementary school that was a beacon for Black children. This is something that should have been celebrated and modeled really for other elementary schools, not only just in our city, but potentially in other cities across the country. So that alone just seemed wrong to me, and I wanted to follow the movement to try to stop this from happening. So that was one thing that told me that this could be a very interesting story. The other was the idea of watching Elizabeth really kind of step into her power along with all the other parents and the students and the educators there at NTA. It really spoke to this theme of everybody kind of having a little bit of activism in their heart, and it just takes something to kind of spark that. And so I was really intrigued by that whole idea of watching, the average everyday citizens from all ages here really stepping into their voice and fighting for something that they really believed in. So I felt with those two themes right there, that would make a very compelling story. So long story short, it was a matter of reaching back out to Elizabeth, reconnecting with her, and telling her of my intentions. And she kind of opened the door to everybody for me, in terms of the school, the parents, the community, and the students.
That's awesome. I'm going to go to the current principal, Tanika. Well, first of all, how's NTA doing now?
NTA is doing extremely well. It's a pleasure for me to be able to lead and guide the students and families and staff at NTA.
I was impressed by something I read. I think Olivia may have shared it with me about how common it is to kind of promote from within at NTA. Can you talk a little bit about that? And Isaac, I'm going to ask you about that too.
I brag all the time that my team, my admin team, is made up of all former teachers of NTA, and that has never been before. My current AP was the former 8th grade teacher. And she has been at NTA for 18 years. Myself, 13, 14, and then Miss Carrie Bove is my instructional coach, and she was there the day that NTA opened. And so we believe, and when I entered NTA as a teacher, 3rd grade teacher, and then moved into the instructional coach role, I remember being told, you're going to go to school to be an administrator. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But when you're told to do something in NTA, you do it. And that is that is who we are. Right now, currently, we have peer coaches, we have instructional coaches, all with have been within our building. So it's very seldom that you will see us seek outside of NTA, because I truly believe that it's the passion and love that we have for our students that make the biggest difference. Starting off first as teachers, and then you have Audrey on this call, who's one of my key members and the backbone of, I say all the time, our building. So as you seen her you may have seen in the movie, her giving me orders in her lunchroom, but that is, we believe in everyone is a leader in our building, including our students.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Isaac, bring you out here. So I love that you participated in the documentary, kind of undercover, right? That was risk taking. That was risk taking. I'm still amazed at how CPS could decide to close a school of excellence based on their own rubric. It's not like you had to convince them that you were excellent. They told you were excellent, right? A school not only excellent, but excellent at teaching African American children. So many things going for it. What? And I guess I'm kind of personalizing this, but share with us a little bit of the emotion that you felt when you heard that they were going to close your school.
Well, the first thing that I thought about was to try to figure out how to fight against the plan diplomatically. And so Elizabeth can testify to this, Tanika too, I'm sure. There was a time where I was very much committed to trying to convince the current CEO at the time and her administration and the aldermen that there was some other solution to the problem that they were trying to solve, that they believed they were solving by closing NTA. And so it took a few months for me to figure out that in fact CPS wasn't open to any other solution, to any other strategy, to any other method other than closing NTA. They were absolutely committed without any other option to closing NTA. And that taught me pretty quickly that what was happening at NTA was a political move, that it actually wasn't about education for anybody. In fact, it was only politics, that it was something that wasn't coming from CPS itself, but was being orchestrated by City Hall and CPS, including the CEO at the time, were all being sort of orchestrated to manufacture this concession for families in the South Loop. And you hear some of the interview subjects from the South Loop community allude to their political connections. And so I didn't know at the time how deeply intertwined some of the South Loop parents were to City Hall. But as I mentioned, over time, we all sort of figured it out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things I always wondered about the name National Teachers Academy. And then again, Olivia kind of feeding me a little information to prepare me for our conversation, kind of cleared that up, that teaching other teachers is part of the mission for NTA. They look to train teachers, especially these career changers, people that I'm tired of being an accountant, I want to teach math, those type of folks, and that you actually have had nearly 200 teachers come through your program. So this is a question for you and Tanika. Do you think that this is part of NTA's secret sauce? Bringing in folks that come from disparate careers that can contribute, their ideas and kind of, when you talk about thinking out of the box, well, they were car salesmen or whatever, and now they're coming into a completely different environment. Do you think that's part of the magic over at MTA?
Uh, I would say no. I believe that our magic is promoting within, pulling from our community. Right now, a lot of my teacher aides and um, additional staff within the building come directly from the community or are former students of NTA. I have actually a teacher that is a former student of NTA, graduated from NTA, and I probably have about 10 to 12 additional um, staff members that were former students of NTA, former ICKY residents. And so I believe that that is the secret sauce, the community that we form within our building.
Okay, so part of kind of going through my questions here. Um, as wonderful as the story of NTA is, as great a victory that you won for children, the children in the community, I wonder what lessons were learned that could benefit other schools that are struggling to survive, and particularly those that may not be as excellent. I mean, you guys brought a resume to the table that just made it crazy to think that they were going to close your school. But this is a question for everybody. What kind of lessons for other schools um, do you have? And I'm going to go to Audrey first. I don't know if you're muted, Audrey. Yeah. Okay. Well, we can't hear you. Okay. Um, let's go
Can
to.
you hear me
Oh yeah,
now?
there you go. Yep. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You you have to stick together. You have to stick together. You have to stick together. You got to become one. You got to stick together. You have to stick together. You have to remain, you have to love each other. We have to stick together. Stick together. That's my thing. Stick together.
Okay. Elizabeth.
Yeah, I would say that my advice would be don't let them tell you that you can't win. Right, because that's what the system wants to do is it wants to hold you down with its rhetoric. If they tell you, oh, it's a done deal. We heard that so much. It's a done deal. It's just a way to sort of wave us off, tell us to sit down and be quiet. Don't fight. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your energy. And fortunately, we ignored all that. So that's what I would tell other schools who are in this situation is that they have power, and don't let people in power tell you that you don't. And you have the ability to take your power back in any situation and chart your own destiny, that you don't have to be pawns, to just be moved around on a chessboard or whatever by a larger system that wants to do with you as they want, to get you out of the way, to move you here, to move you there, to disrupt your education. That you have the power to take control of your own destiny, and don't let them feel like you don't.
Okay. Tanika.
I would say to other schools, the number one important thing is the importance of student voice. And so I believe that our outcome, as much as all of us that are on this call played a role, the individuals that play the largest role are our students. If you saw them throughout the film, their voice is what mattered. And teaching them at a very young age, from they walk into NTA's building in kindergarten and they are taught that you have a voice and you use your voice. And it is okay to always use your voice. And so that is what I would tell other leaders, and other schools that tap into the student voice and the importance of that.
Mm. Oh, beautiful. Isaac?
Just to build a little bit on what Tanika said, speaking directly to administrators, your authority and your power as an administrator is nothing but for the authority, power, and voices of the people that you serve, teachers, families, staff members, and most importantly, as Tanika said, students. And as a principal, as an administrator, your purpose is to lift up, magnify, and empower those voices. Everything that you need as an administrator to succeed exists within your community. And when you can lift up those voices and listen to them and allow them to guide you as a leader, your school will thrive. So that's the advice that I would leave listeners with, and school administrators in particular.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay, so this is a selfish question. I have spent a lot of time as a restorative justice practitioner, including doing some work in CPS. I'm not going to necessarily talk about that work because it was a little crazy, but I just wonder: is there a role with restorative justice at the teaching at NTA? Tamika or Isaac? I'll go with Tanika first.
I knew you were coming to me, and I saw the look on Isaac's face. Like, Brooks, you can take this one. But we are known for being a social justice school. And so I'll tell you a little bit about when I first walked through NTA doors, and I kept hearing this conversation about this big event at the end of the school year called Museum Walk. And I had no idea what it was, but littles from first grade at that point, because they had experienced Museum Walk all the way up to 8th grade, from the first day of school, kept mentioning Museum Walk. And as I started to go to different meetings, I realized that each year, each cycle of teachers select a social justice topic to focus on. And so from that, it is developed throughout the entire school year. And that is where our students, as I mentioned earlier, learn to have a voice in social justice. But yes, that is what we are known for at NTA. And it is lived in each classroom. And I would say within each adult as well.
Wow. Can you share some examples of the types of projects or issues that the children have wrestled with over the years?
So from the littles, they may do something like a lemonade stand to raise funds for a social topic or a group, all the way up to we've done. They put on a production of Selma. They put on a production of A Raisin in the Sun. They've put on. I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head with the most
Anti-violence.
Yeah.
Studied different themes in history. The kindergartners did a technology equity one year, raised money to bring technology to underserved schools. Yeah, environmental issues of different kinds as well.
Wow, beautiful. So Elizabeth, I'm coming back to you. This whole thing has just been learning about the school has been wonderful. Learning about the fight, and quite honestly, first time I watched the documentary, I didn't know that you guys were going to win. And that's probably why the documentary was designed like that, right, Kevin? You wanted to keep us in suspense. So I mean, I felt palpable relief when the end came. And it seems like things are going great now. I guess just as a parent at the school, besides the fight and the struggle, I just give us an idea of the things that make you so proud of the schools. Maybe some of the things that your children have experienced.
Yeah. I would say that the biggest thing, and it was funny, my mother was the first one to point this out to me, is that every single adult who works in that building knows the name of every single kid in the building. And and that means so much, because those kids know that when they go to school, that they are loved and cared for beyond just the education. Because I mean, kids can get a solid education anywhere, in the city. There are lots of good CPS schools in terms of the education value, but there is a honest and genuine love for the kids, and wanting to get to know them personally. I mean, Audrey knows every single child in that building. She sees every single child in that building at lunchtime. And she can tell you who's cousin and who's sibling and nieces and nephews and everyone. And my mother said that she knows when she walks in that building, everybody knows that she's my kid's grandmother, even though, she doesn't really know anyone. She's like, oh, they'll just say, oh, you're here for Harmony and Noah. And she'll be like, yes, how did you know that? But everybody knows everyone. And so as a parent, that makes you feel relieved that when you drop your children off at school, that they will be cared for as much as you care for them. So you're putting them into good hands. And so they're not just getting a great education, but they are building their social skills sort of really wrapped in the arms of a larger community. And for me too, it was important that my children get that from a Black community, so that when they move forward in their lives and the world tries to tell them that their skin color, that their race, makes them inferior, that they will know that that's not true. They know that that's a lie, because they have been raised in a community that tells them that they are valued and that they're worthy of love, and that they're intelligent people, and gives them agency and a voice. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Excellent. So, Audrey, coming back to you. My mouse is wandering a little bit. There you are. We need to take you off of mute. And so I love the fact that, you are like the school mother, all the kids. But I got to ask this question. How is the food, and how do the kids think the food is?
Oh, what? Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to say this. We got one of the best lunchroom teams ever. Mr. Daryle, along with his crew, they've been with us since the doors opened. Actually followed us from the school that we came from, Daniel Hill Williams. So, and they may even, I hope I ain't saying too, may even do a little something they don't need to be doing, put a little season on it. Mr. Daryle, can we get some hot sauce?
Did they bring a little hot sauce?
Can we get some hot sauce, or can we get some ketchup? We got the best team. And then, believe it or not, I have to tell some of the parents, stop sending y'all kids with the lunch, because they don't want y'all lunch. They want the school lunch. So that's why they bring y'all lunch back home with the note in it that we want the school lunch. So, yes, our kids love the food, and I do too. Miss Brooks do too. She done came in there and ate. Mr. C do too. Miss Grill do too.
Got no complaints about the food at NTA.
None whatsoever.
So how does it feel to have all those kids loving on you?
And just to piggyback on Miss Greer, some of the kids have really just really grown to me, especially the conversations that I'd be surprised some mornings, the conversations that I have with the children just open my day up. Even when I come through the gate, I can see some of my babies and they say, "Good morning, Miss Audrey. I love you, Miss Audrey." And that, or can I give you a hug? And I be needing that just as much as they need that. And I just love to see my kids every day. Miss Audrey came like today. We did the music. They dance and they ate today. They love that type of stuff. So I try to bring. I do class of the week for the kids. And you just have to maintain the state and follow the NTA way in the lunchroom. They love that. They work hard to be on point at level 0 and ready to go. So I just try to make it fun in the lunchroom. Just stay in your seat, stay respecting me and you in the lunchroom. Miss Audrey, we're going to have a good time in there. We don't have no problems. We don't need Miss Brooks to come in there. We don't need none of them. I got it sold up. Lunchroom is all right with me.
Excellent. So we that's wonderful. So we have a question from the viewers. And it is, where are the 8th graders in the film now? How are they doing? Do you have any reports you can share with us? And that's for anybody. I'll move it around.
Those kids are our 8th graders, right? The kids.
The 8th graders in the film, what are they doing nowadays?
They are 8th graders, right?
They're, that's a trick question. So she's asking if they came from NTA, where do you think our 8th graders are right now? I think that's what Audrey is saying. I'm reading Audrey's language. They're in college.
Oh, was it that long ago?
They're in their freshman year of college. Now I may get the colleges wrong, and I actually talked to them. Marie, I woke her up the other morning because her little sister is there at NTA as a kindergarten student now. And she came in crying and she wanted to talk to her sister. So, of course, I picked the phone up and I called her and she wasn't up for class. And she said, "Mrs. Brooks, how'd you know I wasn't going to go to class this morning?" I said, "I knew. Get up, put your things on and go to class." So they are in their freshman year of college, actually. Okay. Isaac may do better with where they is Marie at Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee.
Marie's at Tennessee State. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Taylor?
He's in Georgia. Is it Georgia State?
Georgia State, yes.
Georgia State, yeah. And then there are several more that are in going to college in this area, junior college in this area and stuff. Yeah, a variety of different places, but many are out of state as well.
Yes. All right. Beautiful. Any other? I'm kind of talking to the audience now. Anybody in the audience have any questions that they'd like to ask that they can put in the comments? I'll be glad to share them with the group. So I'm going to ask one more question, Kevin. This is it. Just one more question. Being a documentary filmmaker, you tend to get more embedded in stories and situations and circumstances, and obviously you grow to know the people. How do these extended kind of relationships work? Because you're still hanging out with this crew. Is this normal, or is this just the best of the best of the best?
I think if you make the documentaries that I like to make, you are getting to know the people who are participating in the movie more than just, they're not subjects in the film. These are people that are becoming your friends, maybe family even. We have this experience that, we're bonded by it forever, whether we like it or not. The movie is going to live on past when we're gone, and it will pass on to our families and to our children and what have you. And this time frame here will live on. And I think that's important. And I think as a documentarian, you're not able to build this kind of story and have this kind of intimacy with with the characters unless you really invest the time to really get to know people as human beings, and really give part of yourself to the entire process. So the relationships that I've always tried to build have been authentic. Yeah, we hang out. It's great to see. I'm happy to see everybody that's here on the call. I haven't seen Audrey in a while, so it's great to see her. And we haven't been able to hang out a lot because of COVID, and we haven't been able to be in the buildings together and all that. So any opportunity we do get to see one another, Tanika as well, it's great. It's like that little family reunion. It's like the family reunion at the Ickies, you know what I mean? It's just like that. So so there's definitely some authenticity there that has to be established, and I think that shows in the filmmaking.
Wonderful. So asking the audience to share questions. I don't see any. I'm gonna throw this question out to everybody. Well, to the NTA family. Kevin, you're excluded. What?
Daryl, I just told you, dude, I'm part of the family, man. You're
I
gonna exclude
know,
me
but
now,
you
huh?
definitely not to throw you too many questions. So that's all. I'm just trying to honor your request.
Kidding. I'm kidding.
That is kind of ironic. Okay, yeah, I got you. So this question has to do with what have you personally learned from this experience? What aspects of this experience have taught you something, or you just know it's just going to stay with you forever? So I'm going to go with Elizabeth first.
I would say that this experience uncovered a part of me that I didn't know that I had. Normally I'm not the kind of person who, protests things or makes a lot of fuss. I'm very much like a rule follower. And so to help to lead such a huge protest against an authority figure was difficult for me to embrace, right? I wasn't sure that I had, if I had that kind of metal inside of my soul to sort of get out there and start screaming at folks. But once I started doing it, I realized actually I love it. And so it really did help me to realize that, and Kevin has said this, that we all have like a little bit of activism inside of us. And so it was really true for me. I found her. She's in there. So, and I don't think I could put her back in the bottle. So you might see me out there at some other protesting something else at some point.
Oh yeah, well, one of my big things right now is the Pretrial Fairness Act. So you're welcome. We're going to be in Springfield on November 16th. So, if you get the urge, I'll just put that out there. Principal Brooks, what about you?
It's taught me that it is never a done deal. As long as you have a voice, it is never a done deal. From the very beginning, we were told it was a done deal. Things were already in the making. Nothing would be changed. And the individuals on this call showed me that, no, as long as we join together, we can get it done.
Isaac, what do you think?
For me, whereas Elizabeth described herself as a rule follower, I guess in my career as an educator, I guess I've earned the reputation somewhat as look at Tanika, as a bit of a rule breaker. And what this experience taught me is that there's a place for that energy in whatever work you're doing when you are advocating for the right cause. And in this case, it was for children, it was for the community. And so if that's you, if you are the rule breaker, the maverick, so to speak, lean into that energy and channel it into something productive that will benefit your organization, your community, the people that you serve. Don't shy away from it. Just learn how to channel it. That would be the thing that I learned, and that was strengthened and affirmed for me in this experience.
Mm-hmm. Audrey, I know you were having a little bit of connection problem. Do you know what the question is? You need to unmute yourself.
I don't.
Okay, so the question was, what did you get from this experience? What lesson did you learn that's going to just kind of stay with you?
I got from this that we got power, we have power. And again, if we stick together, our power will work. We got justice out of it, right? We got what we wanted, our school. I got support out of it. I got love out of it. I got community out of it. I got joy out of it. I got strength out of it. I got knowledge out of it. A lot of knowledge out of it. I got a lot of knowledge, and I learned that you can do whatever you put your mind to it, you can do it. Whatever you put your mind to it, you can do it. And when you got force like we had it, the battle you will win, and we win every time.
All right. So I got some questions that came up in the platform that I'm going to go to. First, I'm going to hit a question that Marguerite had. Can NTA's struggles help the Urban Prep Academy? Huge issue right now. And if anybody has anything to contribute, let me know.
NTA struggle help Urban Prep.
I understand if you don't.
I think the short answer to that, just looking at the comment, it sounds like the charter was revoked. Obviously, there are details that I think anyone on this call would need to understand more to try to help. But I think the short answer is yes. I'm sure that in some way, the people who advocated for NTA can assist families and activists who want to try to keep the urban prep network of schools open. Absolutely. So I think there's an opportunity for collaboration and some cooperation there if Marguerite would like to exchange or give us or Elizabeth their information to continue the conversation offline.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because certainly they're getting the same. It's a done deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a done deal.
Sounds
Y'all
like
close it, you know. Okay, so Harriet Kavanaugh Dart, she asked, this is for Elizabeth. She asked, did you find your power in the church basement? Barack Obama found his destiny in a church basement.
I did. I found my power in a church basement. And I have to tell you that what was so great about that meeting is that it was like the most interesting and diverse group of folks who all had one thing in common, and that was their desire to buck the system, right? And to fight for social justice. So there were people there from the north side, there were people there from the west side, there were people there from the south side, there were Black people, there were Latinx people, there were white people. And everyone was there because they had some issue. It was how, some people it was housing, some people it was education, it was, everyone had a different issue that they needed to fight against the city about. And they had all come together to strategize how best to go about, not only how best to go about, pushing against their own particular issue that they were dealing with, but then also everyone was lending a hand to help everyone else's struggle. And that's what I found one of the things that I found to be the most important piece about the community organizing. I mean, it sort of sounds cliche, but community organizing really does need the community. So we at NTA would not have won if we had not, been able to hold out our hands and say, hey, can you help us? And to have these people from all over the city who had nothing to do with our school, who didn't have children in the school or anything, but who just felt like it was such an injustice that they wanted to help with us. And so then as a result, when they had their issue about housing or about community benefits agreements in the Obama Center or whatever it was, and they said, hey, we're having a protest. Can the people from NTA show up? We would be like, absolutely. I mean, we have to reciprocate this kind of relationship. So I will always credit that church basement for giving me my crash course lesson in community organizing.
Excellent. So this is a tougher question. From Lulu Cole. She says, certainly not at the sacrifice of NTA, but are there any sentiments toward the Chinatown neighborhood in their efforts to gain access to a high school closer to their neighborhood in which they've been denied for decades? Did it seem like the two communities were pitted against each other? And how does this play into the way Chicago's neighborhoods have been carved out? Anybody want to tackle that one?
Go ahead and take that one, Greer.
Yeah, that was really problematic. It was extremely problematic. And, when Kevin releases the director's cut, you will have all the Chinatown stuff in there. But it's absolutely true that, and you nailed it, that that CPS and the city purposefully pit the two communities, the Black community and Chinatown, against each other. And what would happen is that they would use the Chinatown, they basically promised the Chinatown community NTA High School in exchange for Chinatown's voice at community meetings. To stand up and say, we want NTA to, be turned into a high school, because they were promised that they could get access to our building. And we kept trying to tell them that they were being used by the system, that because they were so good at like they could physically get a lot of people to show up at a place. So it looked like there was so much support in the Chinatown community. And we later found out that in many of the cases, they would just load busloads of people onto a bus to cart them to NTA for a meeting, or to take them all downtown to district office. And the people who were going actually didn't know why they were there, but it just visually, it looked like there was a lot of support for turning NTA into a high school, because you had a lot of people from the Chinatown community show up. Then you would have one spokesperson. And it was really ugly, and it spoke to how white supremacy tries to weaken communities of color by pitting us against each other. And we really tried to make that clear to the Chinatown community. I don't think really we were that successful in letting them hear it. Like they heard it, but they didn't. I don't think it really sunk in. I can't really speak to that, but it's really sad because there has been some lingering animosity between our community and the Chinatown community as a result of this. Because, and I have been told by some of the members of the community that they've got this mantra that, you know, we've been asking CPS for high school for over 30 years. And one of their community leaders did tell me that, like, well, you know, we would rather have our own high school, but CPS told us that we can't ever get that. So we'll just have to settle to take NTA. And it's like, you don't say that to me. You don't say that to me. So it is unfortunate. And there's still a proposal on the table to build a brand new high school near South High School. You can, look up all the press on that. And it has reopened old wounds and has really triggered all of us on this call, to have starting up these community meetings again about this. The NTA itself has nothing to do with it as a school community, but it's the same rhetoric that's popping up again, and the same communities being pulled into this battle for scraps, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Wow. So one of the questions here is, how did you all find out about the plan to close NTA as early as you did? But I thought that was, well, I'll let you guys answer.
I was just going to have to take this one. You can start with this one, Isaac.
Yeah. I figured this would be an Isaac question.
I had heard, and I think some connected members of the community had heard as early as 2016, that discussions downtown at CPS headquarters and at City Hall were occurring that involved turning NTA into a high school. Elizabeth and I were invited to a really strange meeting that involved some Board of Education members, Alderman Pat Dowell, at literally a back room of the first precinct headquarters just up the street from NTA. And no explicit mention was made of an NTA high school, but there were some very strange questions that didn't feel right at the time, but now looking back on them completely make sense. They were asking about our relationship to Drake School and where do most of our kids enroll from, how many of our kids come from within our neighborhood boundaries, things of that nature. But it wasn't until things weren't set off earnestly until I believe it was early 2017 when Alderman Dowell had a town hall meeting, and parents had been hearing that there might be a boundary change at NTA, which we felt might signal something more dramatic for the school. So one of our parents flat out asked, and CEO Janice Jackson was at this town hall meeting because the theme was education, if I remember correctly, of this town hall meeting. So Pat Dowell and Janice Jackson were there, and dozens of parents, NTA parents, and I were there as well. Parent flat out asked Dr. Jackson about any boundary change discussion. And Dr. Jackson said that there was, in fact, a real conversation about changing the boundaries at NTA, which set everybody off. And then from there, weeks later, CPS introduced to us the possibility that a boundary change would mean potentially turning NTA into a high school. And then that set off a series of CPS-led community meetings. By that time, NTA had already had its own community meeting. We were already taking action to try to rally folks against any proposal. That was all in 2017. And so the film doesn't capture all of that. Kevin sort of began taking an interest as Elizabeth was mobilizing people during that time. And so by the time I believe Kevin got involved, CPS was making an official policy recommendation to CPS to close NTA and turn it into a high school closer to the end of 2017. So what you see in the film is most of 2018, all the way until the end of 2018 when the the judge grants the injunction and then CPS pulls the plug. So the fight lasted, if you want to be very technical about it, for the better part of 2 years. But according to CPS policy and when things were made completely public, it was more like 18 months.
Wonderful. Okay, so that's a great perspective, and good to get some of the history there. So this is the last question. I think I'm right at time. This last question, and again, anybody can answer. More than one person can. It's kind of well, I'll just ask the question. You were faced with insurmountable odds over many months. What kept you going? And I'm going to start with Audrey. You got to unmute yourself first.
Faith,
Faith.
faith, and just believing in my building, believing in our community, believing in my people. Faith, Kev, faith.
All right. We haven't heard from the principal lately. What kept you going?
I would say, similar to Audrey, the community, the students, the staff. For me, there were many a days when Isaac and I sat behind closed doors and we were asking questions and wondering what would be next. Sometimes the next hour or the next day. And me knowing that I had to remain strong and, as Audrey said, have faith for everyone else, because there wasn't an opportunity for me to show a sign of fear or weakness, because I knew that my staff was looking at me, my students were looking at me daily, and if they could come in every single day, and as you saw our students strategizing and preparing to speak out, then who am I to show a lack of faith in that moment?
All right. Isaac?
I don't have anything to add there. My splendid predecessor or successor said it all for me.
All right. And Elizabeth?
I wish mine was like as nice as my friends here. What kept me going actually was adrenaline and rage. I just, every day, I was so angry every single day. And that kept me going. I do not recommend it. I do not recommend living your life with your blood pumping with adrenaline and your heart full of rage. Don't do that to yourself. But that is what kept me going. And it helped me to keep a brave face on, because like Tanika just mentioned, I felt the same way. Like if I didn't show the strength and the conviction that we could do this, that then people would start to doubt themselves, and there was just really no room for doubt. So I just stayed mad for 2 years.
That's the secret to the Hulk staying Bruce Banner. Just stay mad all the time. So yeah, I would offer that you certainly channeled it in a productive manner. So I would just like to thank you all for your participation. Kevin, I hope I managed it the way you would have liked, in terms of making sure that the feet on the ground, so to speak, got to share their perspectives. Tanika, wonderful, congratulations. And I love the way you guys promote from within. Good luck on the many years to come. I see you 20 years from now, gray hair, kids all over you, still loving it. And if not, I'm sure you'll be moving to better, maybe not better, but greater opportunity. Elizabeth, thank you. And I love hey, sometimes that anger is what you need to keep getting up and getting in the fight every day. So I understand that. Isaac, great job, man, in leading the school and having a heart for the work. I'm sure everyone else, you all appreciate that work. And Audrey, thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation with everybody. I'm looking on here. There's one last question that I'm going to let you guys answer before we all say goodnight. And that is, how did you find the attorney to help you out with this?
I can answer that. So one of our parents, Anika, shout out to Anika. She is an attorney herself. And so when we found out that this was happening, what she did, and this was brilliant, she went and looked at all of the legal articles that were published about the 2013 closings. And because she's a lawyer and she knows how to read that language, she found the one that she thought was like the most brilliant in terms of the way it was written and the argument that was made about the school. And she found the name of that attorney who wrote that, and she contacted her, Kate, at Legal Aid Chicago. And then Kate, she basically told Kate what was going on, and Kate said, I'll take a look at your situation. I'll come to your school, come to some of these community meetings, and I will also bring my colleague Candace from the Chicago Civil Rights attorney's office. And so the two of them, and you'll see Kate doesn't say anything in the movie, but she's always scribbling away. She's always writing notes, to keep our legal file together. And it was really Anika who found the two of them. And once they came to their first community meeting and they saw the injustice of what's happening, they were like, well, we will absolutely help you, and we will do it pro bono, thankfully. So we didn't have to pay them anything. So we're forever grateful to our legal team.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, I just wanted to get that last question in. Thank you all. Thank you to the audience for attending. I hope you got as much out of this as I did. And frankly, I look forward to seeing the family from NTA and some of the other social justice work that is needed in our communities. So we're going to be signing off now. Thank you again. I think I should bring the banner up just so folks will know this is what it was. Goodbye, everybody.